See like your face up close, it'll probably be. There's back there. Definitely forget to keep looking at that. So. All right, I'm gonna give us another 3 minutes and then I guess I'll talk to Zoom.
Tony, I'll start.
Now, come on in.
Thank you.
Find some friends.
Okay.
Thank you. Tell me your name.
Kaylin.
Kaylin? Yes. Okay. All right, everybody on Zoom. We'll get started in just another minute or so. Just want to give people some time to get into the office. This is empty in here. Too much Memorial Day fun, I guess.
So I might get some personal help.
Right? Well, we have some on Zoom.
So.
Campaigns and websites / landing pages.
All right. Guess I'll move on.
I'm pretty loud, so I'm gonna go ahead and shut this door, not to disturb you. Let's get started, class. Or there, hi, class. My name is Kasey King. I am your regional tech trainer. We are. I was asked to come in and talk about campaigns and websites. So we're going to talk about that, but we're going to take it into like real life scenarios because that's how most agents really think. So what we call this class today is called Shift into Overthrive in Action. So a little over 6 months ago, Jason Abrams came into our region, he talked, he did this class called Shift into Overthrive, where he talked about the kind of different things to think about when trying to be successful and thrive in a shifting market. And so we're going to take what he said in that class and we're going to apply it to our real life scenarios. And then we're going to get our computers out and we're going to do it. right now. So that when you workshop it, your fingers will remember what you did, your brain will remember what you did. And so that you can replicate this later on in life. Also, this is being recorded. So if you forget absolutely everything that I say today, they will have a recording of it and you can pause me. Watch, pause, do, watch, pause, do. So because the bulk of our audience is on Zoom, please make sure that you are interacting. I don't like talking to myself, although I do it quite often. I would love to hear your feedback as we go through. If I'm talking too fast, if I'm talking too slow, if you're not understanding what I'm saying, please stop me. We have an hour and a half to get through this, and that's plenty of time. So if we need to stop and go a lot slower, we can. But let's jump into it. So I have a short little PowerPoint here, really just to keep us on track. So a little bit about me, just so you guys know, that's me. My hair just looks a little darker in that photo, editing and such. But I have been at Keller Williams since 2018. I worked in the market center in Allen, which is right up the road from here. And then we decided that we were a tech company. So I started working there as what's called an assistant market center administrator. So basically I helped agents get paid every day. And then we decided that we were a tech company. This different kind of ridiculous and walks by and sees me with gum in my mouth in front of a classroom. All right, so, and then we decided we were a tech company around the 2018, 2019 years. And then, so I started asking questions. Hey, what's this command thing they're talking about? How does it work? How does it help our agents? And my leadership team at that time said, how about you go learn it and then you teach us? That way you don't have to keep answering your questions. And so that's what I did. I started to learn the technology that Keller Williams has created. I became what's called a labs advisor. So that's actually what my shirt says today. So a labs advisor there's about 100 to 150 of us in the Keller Williams ecosystem, where the tech team will basically either pitch us ideas or they'll create something and then have us test it out before it goes out to the general public. What's great about that process is there's a lot of agents that are in that labs advisor group. So when the engineers, who are not necessarily real estate agents, create something, then we get to go in and say, well, that's not how real estate agents talk. And this is how we would actually use it in a real life scenario and stuff like that. So labs advisors really helped me learn the system more than anything else, because I got to learn the why behind some of the things that we were creating here at KW. So I started this role as a regional tech trainer last March. And so I've been doing this. We have 33 offices within our region. So I just go and I train and help our agents really understand the tech tools that we have here and how to utilize them. Personal side, last year I also got married. It was a big year for me. I got married to my husband. His name is Daniel King. He is a band director. I put extraordinaire in there just because I felt like it. He works at Independence High School in Frisco. We have 2 kids. Their names are Eli and Peyton, not named after football players, just a happy coincidence.
Where'd you keep them?
What?
You gave them?
Oh, I have. I was like, what do you mean? I didn't give them. My husband is adopting them, so maybe that's what I meant. I don't know. It just happened to be what that was. Mistake. We have one little pupper. His name is Charlie. He's an Aussie Doodle. And that's about it personally. I am extremely passionate about Keller Williams technology. I really think that it is a great tool that Keller Williams has created to kind of help our agents not have to go outside to do their day-to-day stuff. And then I call myself, I have this little analogy that I'm a proud auntie of command. It does not have my DNA. I did not have any real involvement with it being born. However, I have watched it grow over the past 5 years, and really think that it's something that can help our agents. So what are we here to learn today? I'm sorry, I'm going to take my blazer off. So what are we here to learn today? Well, we're going to talk about online leads. We're not going to talk about sphere of influence. I'm just going to go ahead and take that off. We're going to talk about the 201 Plus Club for just a little bit, We're going to talk about online leads, which is going to be your campaign. So it's just part of the reason that you're here. And then we're going to talk about open houses. Now, I know we're supposed to be talking about websites, and I promise we're going to talk about websites and landing pages, but I'm going to take it into the context of open houses, especially if they're newer agents in the room or on Zoom. Open houses is a great lead generation source that you guys should use if you're not using to get new leads. And so creating a site for an open house for sign in and how to use that to actually lead generate before they even that open house even happens. So walking through that as well is what we're going to talk about today. Questions, comments, concerns so far? Okay. All right. So why are we here? This is my one reminder. Always make phone calls. I'm going to tell you to lead generate a few times today. Just make sure that you do that in a TCPA friendly environment, i.e. don't call people on the do not call list. They don't like it. They yell, you get fined, we get fined. It's a whole thing. So just check your do not call list. If you don't know how to do that, get with your market center leaders and they can help you with that. So why are we actually here? Well, two kind of reasons. And this is really what my role is. It's my job to help you guys make more money and to give you more time back, right? So that's kind of how we're going to talk today. And so how do we make more money? Well, we do that through leads. We get more leads. We have more frequency of leads. We start contacting those leads and those turn into transactions, which gets you more money. Well, how do we get you more time? Well, we leverage things. Leverage is going to be split into two different things. It's either going to be people or tools. Tools most of the time is going to be some sort of technology or a program or something like that. So if you want to make more money, you need more leads. And if you want to make more time for yourself, then you have to decide to use some sort of leverage. And so with money, and again, I promise we're going to get to like the hands-on stuff in just a second. I just want to get your mindset kind of right when it comes to like why we're doing this and how this is actually going to affect you in your everyday life. So what happens? How do you get more money? Well, you get somebody who comes into your world. They say, hey, I want to buy a house. Hey, I want to sell a house. You either meet them online, you meet them in an open house, you meet them at the grocery store, they're your friend or neighbor, anything like that. They say, hey, I'm thinking about buying or selling a home. So they come in and they're coming as a lead, which means most of the time a lead is someone who I haven't talked to one-on-one yet. So once I've had that conversation, then they become what's called a contact in our system. So a contact, then at that point you decide, hey, is this person going to do something with me now? Or is this person going to do something with me in the future? Now means right now, within the next, let's say 3 months. Future means anything 3 months, longer than 3 months. Now, what some agents do is they say, oh, you want to do something with me in the future? You're no use to me, basically. They stop talking to them until the time that they said that they wanted to buy or sell. And then by that time, some other agent has come into their world and potentially has swooped them off their feet. And now you no longer have that lead, right? And so taking into consideration, you get that contact, you decide whether they're a now or a future lead, and then you decide what to do with them. So if they're a now, we're going to put them on what's called a short-term nurture. We're wanting to communicate with them quickly as possible, as frequently as possible, in a TCPA friendly compliant way, yada, yada. And we're putting them in the system. We're putting them under opportunities in command. We're starting, that pipeline. If they're in the future, that does not mean that they're not a qualified lead. It does not mean that they're not going to need a real estate agent soon-ish, right? And so what we do is when we put them in the system, we're going to put them on what's called a long-term nurture, which in our system is smart plans, which is not something we're really going to talk about today, but I want you to kind of, again, just think about this in a real life scenario. I meet somebody, then I decide, are they a now or the future? And then I put them into whatever bucket they go into, whether it's opportunities, if we're doing something with them right now, or smart plans, if I'm doing something with them in the future. Okay. Then to get you more time, I've already said this, but just a visual to remind you, you kind of have two paths to have leverage, right? You either have tools or you have people. the best tool that we have out there is going to be some sort of technology. Even though technology can be intimidating, think about it this way. When you got your car, did you read the entire manual before you tried to drive it? When you got your iPhone or those other phones, did you read the entire manual before you turned it on? Or did you figure it out as you go? Command is just one of those things that is very similar to the tools that you use every day now. Once you get used to it, it becomes second nature, right? And so that's kind of where we want to put our mindset now. Most of the time, people hear technology and they're like, oh, I'm out. Can't do it. I don't like it. It's too hard, all of that fun stuff. Hopefully over the next hour, we'll kind of get you feeling a little bit different about that. So real quick, just want to show you a little thing. Again, this is more of a mindset thing, but I want to make sure that we really dive into this and we really understand what we're talking about today. One thing that we did last year in 2022 as Keller Williams is we did a lot of surveys. We asked a lot of questions. What are our top agents doing? How are our top agents staying our top agents? Last year, the market started shifting, right? How did they stay top agents in that shifting market? Well, we did a lot of research and we boiled it down to two different numbers, 3 and 201 plus. So what does that mean? Great question, class. Thank you for asking. I forgot to warn you. I say really bad jokes. It's just part of my training style. So, sorry. So 3 and 201. So the 201 comes from this chart that you can kind of see. It's a little blurry, but this chart right here. So what we did is out of all the real estate agents here at Keller Williams in our ecosystem, we said, all right, let's look at some trends here. Out of all the agents that had 0 people in their database in 2022, we had 33,000 agents that had 0 people in their database, and their average income last year was $14,000. Out of the agents that had 1 to 10 people in their database, their average income was around $23,000. 11 to 20, 38,000, 21 to 50 people in their database, 57,000. The biggest jump that you see is right here. We're moved from 101 to 200, where they make an average of 84,000, to 201 to 1,000. We had 30,000 agents that had that, and their average income was $119,000. So, yes, sir.
Is this like their database or just a database in command?
Just their database in command.
Okay.
So based on that information, right? Because if these people have 0 people in their command, they obviously have a database somewhere else, which is how they're getting income, but we don't know what that is.
Okay.
So 201 plus or more, their average income was around $120,000. So all that being said, that's kind of a target for us, right? If we want to make a 6-figure salary, which most people, as soon as they get into real estate, that's their first thing that they say. I've onboarded hundreds and hundreds of agents, and their very first thing I say, all right, how much do you want to make? I want to make 6 figures. I want to make $100,000 or more. They normally say more, but that's, the average, right? And so how do we do that? Well, according to this, and we're just using this as a statistic, getting 201 or more people in my database is a great way to start building that income or the potential for that income. But it's not just having people in your database, it's also communicating with people in your database. The other thing, we said 201 and 3. The other thing that we noticed or that we found out whenever we surveyed all those agents was most of the agents that were making substantial amount of income have 3 lead sources, not 18, not hundreds, 3 lead sources. So what we're going to talk about today, we're going to take 2 of those lead sources and break those down so that we can apply them in our real estate business. One is online leads. The other one is open house. So we're going to take that and put it into the things that we're supposed to talk about. So that's kind of what all of that means. So online leads. You're going to have different ways to get online leads. You have Facebook, you have TikTok, you have Instagram, you have things like Google or Bing or Yahoo for like search engine types. And then you have lead aggregators, Zillow, Ojo, Realtor.com, Ylopo, those type of things. Those are all going to be lead aggregators. Lead aggregators, most of the time are going to cost you money. a lot more money than the other two options. So if we're newer, if our budget's a little bit smaller, these two are gonna be your best options. This social media is gonna be your cheapest option. So they're basically in order by how much you're expected to pay. So social media, that's what we're gonna dive into. Search engines, those are things like paying Google to be like on top of when people Google houses for sale in Plano, your name showing up there at the top, which we're working on here at Keller Williams. Bing or Yahoo, I guess those are also search engines. Not a lot of people use them, but they're there. And then Zillow, Ojo, Realtor.com, those are all people that you pay a pretty penny to get leads from them. All right, so part of the thing, this is a lot going on. So let me just tell you some of the things that we're going to talk about today and some of the things that KW is working on. So right now in Command, you currently can do a Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter ad. In the near future, you'll be able to do a Google or TikTok ad. So what does that mean? Well, the main thing is that you use Facebook ads in Command, then you run the ads and generate some leads, and then you start contacting those leads. Once we have contact with those leads, then we decide which bucket they go into. Remember that one of those first two slides, are they an immediate sale or are they an eventual sale? And then we decide how to communicate with them based on that. All of online leads kind of follow that same kind of funnel, right? We cast a wide net, we do an ad on some sort of platform. We get that ad in, we get leads in from that ad. And then we start communicating with them, and then we determine, are they a right now sale or are they an eventual sale? Do I need to start communicating with them now aggressively, or should I put them on a smart plan so that I'm communicating with them a little bit slower, but I'm providing that value so that they can, remember me when they actually are ready to pull a trigger. Make sense? They're like, quiet. Makes me nervous. All right, so let's do online leads. Let's get into the workshop part of it all. So let's go into Command and let's create a campaign. So if you have your computer with you, please feel free to follow along. We are going to open up our computers and we are going to go to Command, which is agent.kw.com if you've never been there before. Hate it when the Zoom button is in the way. There we go. All right, so agent.kw.com, log in with whatever your login is. And then we are going to start in the campaigns applet, which looks just like this, just a little megaphone icon there on the left-hand side. So campaigns, this is the applet in Command that you're going to be able to do what we call one-to-many marketing. Meaning, I have an audience out there that I want to reach. They're getting the exact same information. The difference is there is a campaign, which is that one-to-many marketing, or we have a smart plan, which is a one-to-one marketing. They're getting an email from me because they told me they're a buyer, or because they're looking in this particular area, or because they have this particular connection with me. That's a smart plan. That's one-to-one. Well, we're doing one-to-many. We're casting a net. We're trying to find all the fish that are ready to be caught. Probably none of them are ready to be. Never mind. I'm really bad with fishing analogies, but I try them all the time. All right, so campaigns. You have multiple options when you're doing a campaign. We're going to talk specifically about social media ads today, but I just want to give you a little snippet of what you can do in campaign. One, we can do paid ads. Same we just talked about. Social media, which is going to be Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. In the near future, as long as it doesn't get banned, TikTok is coming. So you'll be able, if you are a dancer or like you like to do the TikTok thing, we'll have that kind of built into Command as well. And then the other paid ad that you're going to have options to are going to be Google. So I can pay, again, if I want my name to show up in my website to show up when people search Plano homes for sale, if I want my name to show up, I can pay for that. Not built into the system yet, but that's something that we are testing as labs advisors, which means y'all will have access to it pretty soon.
How about YouTube?
YouTube is a little bit harder. It is in our pipeline. I know that that's one of the things. It's just harder because it's owned by Google. So once we start that Google process, then YouTube will come down the line.
Okay.
Emails. So if I wanted to blast an email to everyone in my database, I could do that through campaigns. I also have the option to do that in Smart Plans. Direct mail. This is a great one. If you want me to come back and teach it, I love it. This is a great one if you're wanting to farm a neighborhood. So if I want to send out a postcard to everyone in Willow Bend, saying, hey, do you know how much your home is worth? Contact me, I can give you more information. If I wanted to do that, I could do that through command. And then social post is our last option. Sounds very similar to that social ad that we're going to do, but social posts only show up on your business Facebook page, where a social ad shows to an audience of people that you don't know. A social post only goes to people that already follow or like your business page. All right, so that's everything you can do in campaigns, but let's go ahead and let's create an ad. So how do we get started? We're going to click on Create Campaign in that top right-hand corner there. Then you're going to see that little thing about Google search ads. We had them, we took them away. We're reconfiguring based on their algorithms, and then we'll be able to push it out again. And then we're going to do that social ad. So that social ad paid is what we're going to talk about today.
I have a question. I don't have that create campaign.
Are you on a team?
No.
Let's look. If your screen's a little bit smaller, you might have a blue plus sign in the bottom right-hand corner.
Oh.
There we go.
Oh.
I forgot about that. As I was walking, I remembered. So what just happened was his screen's a little bit smaller, so it was trying to consolidate all the things on the screen. So instead of create campaign top right-hand corner, he had a green plus sign in the bottom right-hand corner. All right, so that first pop-up that you get when you click create campaign, we're going to choose social ad. Under social ad, it's going to ask us a couple of things. What is the name of our campaign and what is our goal? So for this particular thing, this is mainly for you, but a campaign name. What happens is if I'm doing a Facebook ad and somebody responds to my Facebook ad or they click on it and they want more information, they'll automatically go into my database here in command, and under where it says lead source, it's going to say campaign dash and then whatever the name of your campaign is. That way, if I'm going through my database and I'm like, who's this John Smith person? I don't know. Click on it. It says lead source 123 Main Street open house, or campaign 123 open. You get it. 123 Main Street open house. Then I know how he kind of came into my world. So I know how to communicate with him a little bit better. It changes the conversation, right? Depending on where they came from. So campaign name, again, can be whatever you want. I would make it something relevant to what our ad is for. So I'm going to do a just listed ad. So I'm going to do my campaign name is going to be just listed 123 Main Street. And then what am I trying to do with a just listed ad? Most of the time, it means I'm trying to attract or advertise a listing. But you have other options here. You have advertise multiple listings, attract talent, brand awareness, event awareness, attract buyers, and other. So why is it asking for the globe? Well, what we're doing here is one of the great things about working for KW is that we have 170 some odd agents that work here. And so because we have such a huge source of data, we collect some of that data. So we can see that somebody has created an ad to advertise a listing and they got a lot of leads. We can also see when people create an ad for an advertising listing and they get 0 leads, and we get to compare the two, which also means that soon, when you go in here and you say, I want to advertise a listing, when we get in, so I'm going to do it yet, but I promise you it's coming. It's going to say, hey, we've seen better results if you post this for 10 days versus 4 days. or we've seen better results if you put 2 emojis in the title versus no emojis in the title. Those type of things. It will give you some inferences based on the data that you have, that we have here at KW. So right now, our goal is just for us to collect that data so that we can help you guys as agents later on be more efficient with what you're doing. So I'm going to advertise a listing. I scroll in just a little bit, it's going to ask me if I want that campaign to run. So I'm going to just do Facebook today. Feel free to choose whatever you have set up. And then go ahead and click create campaign. If you're going to follow along, if you'll just give me a thumbs up whenever you are where I'm at, that way I don't leave you behind. No agent left behind in my world. So I'm going to click Facebook and I'm going to click create campaign. So your screen should look something like my screen. If you didn't do advertise listing, this little pop-up isn't going to show up, but that's okay. Everybody here? Good, good. Okay. So if I'm choosing to advertise a listing, that's weird. It is going to check my MLS. It's going to check my license number to see if I have a listing live right now. So it's showing me only my listings. But if I'm doing an open house, that doesn't necessarily mean that I have the new listing. So I'm going to go in and change that, show only my listings to all listings. And then I'm going to type in my property address. Of course, I'm going with a very generic 123 Main Street for today's class. If you have a listing, feel free to find your listing. All right, so I went in and I told the system I was wanting to advertise a listing. So it went and said, okay, what's that listing? If you're not advertising a listing, that part's not going to be required. So you can just skip it. So the next sections are, it's just going to tell me what I need for my ad. So what I'm going to see, what you're looking at here on the left-hand side, this is where I configure my ad. The right-hand side, this is going to be my preview of what's going on, what it looks like as of right now, based on the information that I've put in. So thus far, I've only put in that I'm doing a listing. I grabbed that listing and then it pulled in some information for me. So the next section here that we want to fill out is this text section. So in the text section, we have 3 different kind of spots here to fill out. Well, so let me kind of break this down for you. In the text section, we're going to have main copy, headline, and description. This is what it's going to look like every time you do a Facebook ad. If you do an Instagram ad, this main copy is not going to be there. Twitter, I think, has all 3 as well. So the main copy, that's going to pull up right above my photo. Headline is going to show up under my photo. It's going to be a little bolded. And then description shows up right under my headline. So what should I put in those boxes? Kasey, great question, class. Thank you for asking. So main copy, that's going to tell the people what they're looking at. Headline is grabbing their attention and telling them, you know, trying to make them gravitate to your ad to actually read the rest of it, right? And then the description is going to be why they should click on your ad. So why should they click on my ad? Well, if I'm talking about a just listed, they can click on my ad to schedule a tour or view more photos or something like that. If it's an open house, then they can view the house before it's held open, or they can view more photos or whatever you want them to do. What is the benefit of them clicking on your ad? That's what you want to put in that description. Now, the description is the first part where we have a little inferences built into it. So I have some suggestions in here if I can't think of what I want to put in there. So my main copy, you'll notice if I pull in a listing, it's going to pull the first couple of sentences from my MLS listing description. So that kind of would tell me a little bit about what I'm looking at, right? So this is talking about the perfect location of where this house is. Now my headline, if this was my real description for my listing, I would probably say location, 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 buy this house now, or something like that, right? Get their attention to look a little bit deeper into it. And then my description, not gonna lie, most of the time I use the suggestion because that's why it's there. Most of the time I'll either say, schedule a private tour or view more photos. Click here to blah, 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 blah. If I'm trying to attract listings, you could do, something about figuring out how much their home is worth, and then they can click, their description could be click here to find out how much your home is worth from a professional or expert real estate agent or something like that, right? Where they would click, they would fill out a form that says, here's how much my house is, here's where my house is located, here's how much I think it's worth, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to put in a main copy, so telling them what they're looking at, headline to grab their attention, and a description to tell them why they should click on our ad. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to say, all right, so main copy, what are they looking at? So this is talking about the great location about this particular home. Headline, I just put location is key just because that seems to be what this person is using as like their big marketing pitch. And then that last in that description, I said, schedule a private tour with me today. Any questions on the text part of our campaign? Does that all make sense? Good, good, perfect. If you're quippier than me, use quippier things. I just try to do the simple way. Not gonna lie. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and click save. Then what I'm gonna see is kind of in all campaigns and command, just so you know, it breaks it down just like this. It's like, all right, this is something that we need to do. We need to fill out some text, then we need to fill out some media, which is gonna be your images or videos. Then we're gonna work on Facebook, then we're gonna work on leads, and then we're gonna decide how much we wanna pay. So the next thing we're going to do is media. So I'm going to click configure there. If I chose a listing, it will pull in that main image from MLS for me automatically. I can add more of those if I want to from MLS by clicking add more. But let's pretend like this isn't here. Just so if you didn't choose advertise a listing, then this is what your screen should look like. So I can click select media, whether I want an image or a video, depending on you. Select media. If I have chose a listing, it's going to pull all the images from MLS. So I can choose which images I want to use. Makes your life a little bit easier, right? Especially if you're hosting an open house. This isn't your listing. You don't have to have all those photos saved on your phone or computer. So I can choose a couple of photos. Now, the one thing I will tell you is don't give away all the goods. Talk about how beautiful the pool is in the backyard. Don't put a picture of the pool. We want them to click on our ad. The whole reason that we're spending our hard-earned earth dollars on this ad is to get information from people. If we give them all the information, then they don't have to click on us. They don't have to click on our ad. They don't have to give us their contact information. And then they just get everything. They screenshot it and they send it to their brother's cousin's girlfriend who happens to also be a realtor, right? Make sense? So choose some images. Don't go crazy is all I'm saying with that. Make sure that you put in the text enough enticing information to make them want to look at some of the photos. Give them a taste of what the house might look like. But again, not everything. Don't give it all away. So I'm going to do the main image from MLS. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to preview and crop. If I wanted more, I could add more. If I have multiple photos in an ad, it becomes a carousel. So it kind of just swipes through automatically if it shows up on somebody's feed. So I'm going to do that one. I'm going to do one other one. gonna do this one. Gives the idea of a pool without actually having to show you the pool. Again, my favorite thing to do. If you are not doing a listing, you can either create your own image in Command on Designs. You can create it in some other marketing platform. You can have your title company create something for you, and then you just upload it into Command. Whatever you want to do on that. So if I'm just adding it from my computer, I would just click Add Images and then Upload. If I created it in Command already in Designs, I would do Add Images and Browse My Design Library. Or I can add a video. Okay, so all we do is we add some images in there and we click Save. Everybody, is this making sense? Really quick. This means yes. No. Okay, there we go. All right, so next section here that we need to fill out is Facebook settings. So I'm going to click Configure. What you're going to see here when you click on this is your personal Facebook shows up right here. Do not freak out. This will not post on your personal Facebook page. You have to have a business page to be able to do an ad, and a business page has to be owned by a person. That's all it's saying. So you'll see that this is the person I'm logged in as Facebook. Then I'll go over to pages, and depending on how many pages you have, this might be a drop down of just one. Or I'm actually an admin on multiple Facebook pages, so I'm just going to choose KW Allen. And then over here on the right, I'm going to notice that my preview has updated. So it's going to show just like this, KW Allen sponsored. There's KW Allen logo. Let me check on this chat.
So mine doesn't give me the option. It just says you don't have any business pages, you need to create them.
So if you haven't created a Facebook business page, or if you haven't connected your Facebook business page, or if it's been more than a month since you connected your business Facebook page, all of those things add up to going into, I'm just going to open it in a new tab real quick. If you get that big red error message up at the top that says you don't have any Facebook pages, you can either click refresh, or if you open Command, potentially in a different tab, go to settings. And I literally did this right before class. This is how I know that this is potentially a problem. Under your settings, you're going to see Facebook Ad Manager. Click Manage. I disconnected and reconnected. Okay. I knew that mine needed to be reconnected because it had my old profile picture. I happened to change my profile picture enough to notice that it was an old picture. So I disconnected, reconnected, it reconnected Command and Facebook, and it added my pages in there for me. If you see it like this and it looks right, click that drop down button right there next to your name and make sure that you have checked the business pages that you want to be able to post ads on. Hey. Yay. I'll call on you.
Oh, yeah, you're good.
All right, so we do our Facebook page, or our regular page, and then we choose our business page. And then this next section is pretty important. So I'm going to talk to you like kindergartners for a second. I need all your eyes and all your ears, little children. All right. In this section here, you're going to see Facebook lead generation form or site and landing pages. Every single time you should choose Facebook lead generation form. Somebody say, but why, Kasey? But why, Kasey? Oh, great question, class. Thank you for asking. Because if I do not do that, if I send them directly to my site and landing page, then they don't have to give me their contact information at all. If I do this Facebook lead generation form, when they click on my ad, it will say, great, I would love to give you that information. First, give me your name, your phone number, your email address. And it pre-populates based on what they have in Facebook. They click submit, it goes away. Then they go to the site and see all the stuff. Again, we're paying our earth dollars to be able to get information from people. So if we give them all the information and they don't have to give us their information, this is not a win-win. Oh, no.
I refreshed my page and I lost the whole app.
Oh, no.
It's all right.
But does that make sense, guys? Always use that Facebook lead generation form, have them fill it out, and then give them the information that they came for. Okay, so Facebook lead generation form, you can change what your button says. For most of our ads, learn more is probably going to be your best option because they're wanting to learn more about a house or learn more about an open house or learn more about what their house is worth, right? And then we want to give them a website URL. Where do I want them to end up? Which is where we're kind of going to talk about. I did this a little bit backwards because we're going to talk about how to create a landing page in just a minute. But where do we want them to go once they click on my ad? Well, one thing that we don't want to do is just send them to our generic page. Have you ever, I'm gonna, the other female in the room, sure this has happened to you. You're scrolling through Facebook and you're like, oh man, that's super cute green blouse. Let me click on that ad. I want to see more about that green blouse. And then it just takes you to H&M.com. And you're like, I'm not about to go search for the green blouse on H&M.com. I wanted to see that one green blouse. Same thing is going to happen to your potential customers. They're going to see this super cute house with this pool that you promised in the ad. And then they click on it and it just takes them to kw.com where they have to go find that house. They didn't write down that location. They don't know. You want to give them what they came here for. Or when you call them in 5 minutes, whenever you get that lead in, they're not going to answer their phone. They're going to be like, you didn't give me what I needed. I don't know who you are. This seems like a scam, blah, 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 blah. Make sense? Now I'm going to show you how to make a site that is specific about this particular location or this home that's for sale. But just know when you're doing an ad, you want them to get the information that they came here for. If it's talking about figuring out how much their home is worth, make sure that the place that they go, they're going to fill out a form so that you can give them a CMA in the future, right? Make sense? I got a little preachy there. I'm sorry. My dad's Baptist preacher. It just comes out sometimes.
You got a question in the comment.
Oh, okay. Maybe change the button labels to something other than the default 3. Unfortunately, no, those are the 3 options that we have for the button. Just because those are approved by all legal teams everywhere that those are acceptable. Because if it said anything else, then the implications of all the things becomes a little crazy. So those are the only 3 options that we have right now. If you're doing it on Instagram or Twitter, there's one more option that pulls up. I think it says sign up now, or there's one more that shows up. But other than that, the 3 that you see here are the most common ones that you're gonna. All right, so I am going to send them to this imaginary landing page that I have created for this particular site or for this particular listing. And then the next section is also pretty important. Who do I want to see this ad? So the automatic audience is going to be 20 miles within the radius of the home that you have selected, if you selected a listing. Or 20 miles from wherever your market center is, which would be, obviously. I would highly suggest doing a custom audience though, not just doing the auto audience. So a custom audience, I can do a little bit more. So if I happen to know that people from Plano move to Plano, like people just move around to different areas, then doing an ad in Plano would be great. Also, people move from around the DFW area to around the DFW area. So anywhere around here, we're finding a potential buyer most of the time, right? Right. Okay. So doing it around our listing isn't a problem, but what I can do is I can change this radius. If I don't want such a big wide net, I could go a little bit smaller. I could do as small as 15 miles from around that city center. Now 15 is the minimum that you can do just because of redlining laws and stuff like that. And then 50 is the maximum you can do. So 15 to 50. So you can change that in accordance to whatever you happen to know about the market and where people are moving from in that particular area. And then in this section, detailed targeting. This is where I can get a little bit more specific. Who do I want to see this at? Well, in here, I can add interest, and I can add interest like, what if they're interested in Zillow.com? Now, you're going to say, Kasey, Zillow is the devil. I understand. I don't like them either. However, it's the #1 property or place that people go and search for properties. So it's going to get creepy for a second, but stay with me. What happens is, if I say that I want my ad to be shown by people that are interested in Zillow, all it's doing is checking their cache and cookies on their computer. So if they've been in a browser, a website browser, and they've been to Zillow.com, and they've also been to Facebook.com, guess what? Facebook knows that they might be interested in Zillow. Sounds creepy. This is your regional tech trainer reminding you to clear cache cookies every once in a while so that you cannot be targeted like we're targeting people. However, it is very beneficial for you, right? So I can say, show this to people that have potentially been to Zillow recently. Or the other top one that people use is Realtor.com. And what you're going to see on both of those is there's two options. This one is Realtor.com and Realtor.com Pro. Zillow had Zillow and Zillow Premier. We only want Realtor.com and Zillow. We don't want Premier or Pro because those are agents. We don't really, the people that use Realtor.com Pro are agents paying for ad or paying for leads. That's not who we're looking for when we're trying to do an ad, right? We're looking for the consumers of the world. So I can do Realtor.com and Zillow. Those two are pretty, just help you really cast your net in the right direction. Here comes a really bad fishing analogy again, just prepare yourself. If I am going fishing and I'm using a net, if I cast my net and it's too wide, then my fish can get through the holes in the net. Yes? Well, if I cast my net and I'm a little bit more intentional, I'm like, oh, I'm going to put feed here. I'm going to wait a minute, and then I'm going to cast my net in this one particular section. That's where these interests come into play. It's putting your people all in one spot, or putting your little fishies all in one spot so you can cast your net, not make it too wide, and grab the things that are right there. Make sense? Now, we don't want to go too small. We don't want to have to try and use a net and get 20 fish out of one net. So we don't want to get too specific with our radius or our interest. Adding too many interests makes your audience a little too narrow. So being able to actually find the one person who happens to live in Wiley, who happens to want a home in Plano, who happens to like luxury cars, that's a little too specific, right? But we can be, again, be a little bit more intentional with our ads by doing those two things. Now, I have agents that will also do things like mortgage calculators. Again, just means that this person has gone in their browser to Facebook and have also looked at mortgage calculators on some banking website. Or I recently did an ad for a rental property, and I did apartments.com, because if they're at apartments.com, then they're looking for potential rental properties. Now, it was a townhome, but that doesn't mean that they couldn't potentially rent that too, right? Make sense? All that making sense? So go in there.
I think you had a question on the.
Another? Keep missing. Sorry. We cannot use.
Jana.
Hey, Jana, sorry. Hashtags are not an option for the interest right now.
Okay, so can we just put like cities or towns or attractions there then?
Mainly, you can type in, like, I think you can do globe life. Maybe, nope. I was gonna say, you might be able to do like big attractions, but it doesn't seem like that's an option.
So
You
it
can
looks
do
like you have to
specific.
put a city there, and then maybe down in the detail targeting, you can put something specific.
That I don't know that those targets get that specific. Let's see, Texas state. Yeah, I'm unaware of being able to do that right now.
Thank you.
Oh, so one of the things that you guys might have seen and might not have, over here on the right-hand side, when you're looking at all this interest, it does also give me kind of a guesstimate of how many people might actually fit into that category. So I can see that in Melissa, Texas, which is where I happen to live, plus 25 miles around, there's about 204 million people that are interested in air conditioning. Surprisingly enough, we live in Texas, people need air conditioning, that makes sense, right? And so you'll see that as we go through and start narrowing down our audience. Now I'm going to scroll back up to look at my preview real quick, but I want to look at this.
Can you scroll back down?
Oh, yep.
Whenever you do Zillow and realtor.com, is that people that are interested in both of those?
It's an or, Zillow or realtor.com. So what I'll see here, right here where it says audience definition, it will tell me if my audience is too broad. Like if I just did Melissa, Texas plus 50 miles, that would be kind of broad. It would try it. Facebook has the capability, but it'd be really hard to really get that to every single person on every single person's feed who lives in Melissa, who might be interested in real estate, right? So if we go too broad, it wouldn't work. If we go too specific, again, it wouldn't work. So we want in that green field there. As we're editing this, let me just add some mileage to my, so it goes from 355 to 646,000, right? So just changing that will change your little definition over here. So it will kind of tell you what your potential reach would be. All that making sense? All those Facebook settings that we just talked about? Yes, no, maybe so. They're getting really quiet again. All right, last thing or second to last thing here, lead setting. So I already told you if somebody clicks on my ad, they're automatically going to go into my database. But what if I want more to happen? So I can say I want them to come into my database and I want them to have this particular tag. Whatever that tag might be. Online lead, Facebook lead, this particular address, open house, if I'm doing an ad for an open house. Anything like that, I can make them come in with that particular tag. Or I can do one or both or none. I can also assign them to a smart plan. Let's say that I'm doing an ad and I am doing an ad for an open house. No, I'm doing an ad for this particular listing. I can set up a smart plan that says, call them as soon as they get added to this smart plan. And then the next step is a day later, it sends them an email that says, thank you for your interest in 123 Main Street. Here's some more information. If you have questions or want to schedule a private tour, here's a link to my calendar, whatever you want to say in there. And then a day later, hey, I sent you an email yesterday. I hope you got it. Thanks for your interest in 123 Main Street. Blah, 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 right? I can add them to a smart plan so I can continually talk to them until we do some sort of transaction together. Make sense? Yes, sir.
Sorry, going back one more step. On the website URL, so in theory, like if we have like a custom made website from third party, we can still just put that website in there and then still use command for all of the.
Yes.
Okay.
That one is not specific. It does not have to be a command created website. It can be google.com. I don't think you can technically do google.com, but like you can do whatever site you want to on it.
Okay.
Any questions? Am I making any sense? Open so? Okay. Last section here, duration and budget. So how long do I want this ad to go for? And how much do I want to pay for it? Now, trying to explain to you how the algorithms work and like how it goes to an audience people and then people clicking on it makes your audience smaller. It's hard to explain. So I'm just going to say, choose a good dollar amount. My personal recommendation is at least $2 a day per channel. So if I'm doing this on Facebook and Instagram, it's $4 a day. If I'm doing this on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter, then it's $6 a day. Just to get, again, using my horrible net analogy, getting your net big enough, but not too big. On your duration, it defaults to 10 days. That's a good length of an ad. Now, if you're doing this for an open house, make sure that your ad does not go past your open house. You do not want to invite people to an open house that has already happened. So remember that. I will also say, do not go too long on your duration either. Facebook changes their algorithms, I'm not kidding, every 3 days. So if you do an ad for 30 days, their algorithm has changed so much by the time that last 3 days happens that the likelihood of your audience actually seeing it is not a lot. So that's techie term for don't go too long. Do 3-day increments, like do about 9 days is probably a really good option. Just because that hits about 3 algorithms, you'll still get a pretty good audience on those. But going too long, again, would just mean that it's not pulling your ad and putting it in the right spots. Just the way that they pull different things makes it work that way. Okay. So last thing I would do is click save and then click publish campaign. There is a 24-hour waiting period. So it does have to go through like a legal check to make sure that you didn't say no credit, bad credit, need credit. Click here. We'll give you $1 million. You can't do that. So let's not even try. But there is a 24-hour waiting period and then it will go live. And then you'll be able to track your progress through the actual campaigns. All of that makes sense. Any of it not make sense? Is this thing on? Yeah. I do that to my kids sometimes when they're not paying attention. Like,
I have a quick question.
yes, ma'am.
So I put a listing in originally for this ad and I want to take it out. How do I remove it out of there?
If I scroll up close to the top where you see name and goal, and then you should see that listing.
Yes.
I can either click change listing. But if I just want to get rid of that listing altogether, I'm going to change my goal. So if I change that to attract buyers and click save, then I can change this listing and make it go away.
What do I change it to then?
That's a great question. It just says change. It doesn't say go away. However, you could just.
I guess I can change it to anything I've sold previously, I guess.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
What other questions do we have? Does that all make sense? Are we going to do an ad this week? Anybody?
All of my
Any
coaching
excitement?
agents better say yes. All
Yeah,
of my
I'm gonna go
coaching
get my
agents.
pom-poms out of my car. If y'all do not start parking up.
So like, I know you said y'all gathered like a bunch of data and everything, and it seems like you're talking really heavily on the listing side, which I'm assuming is probably the easiest one. But if you're doing like, some of the other stuff like attracting buyers or brand awareness, or like even like attracting talent to help build their downline, like how does those ads work? And like what, are things you've seen, like will it still auto-populate kind of how the listing auto-populates, or does that have its own special thing of auto-populating of like, hey, we recommend you saying this?
So all of the goals that we have right now have some of those suggestions when it comes to the description. I focus heavily on listings because according to the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, listings is where the money comes in. If you promote a good listing, then you'll get another listing and another buyer, and your kind of pipeline just fills up that way. So I do it that way just for that purpose. And I've also done it, like I said, to do open houses where I'm just like trying to attract buyers or attract talent. I've done for like market centers. I work for market centers, right? So we can do ads, and instead of being interested in realtor.com or Zillow, then maybe they're interested in Champion School of Real Estate or, something like that. So just making sure that I tweak it to, you can do an ad for your flower shop in Command for all I care. Like it has all the capabilities. The great thing is also that it's a little bit cheaper to actually do it from Command than it is to actually do it from Facebook, just because they're also gathering data on us on how things work and what does work, so that they've given us a little bit of a discount on like their ad spend. So it would work for you. Just There are some particular suggestions that will change based on your goals and stuff like that. If you start playing with it and you decide you want to do brand awareness. For brand awareness, I have a lot of agents that do that for like their events. Like I'm doing an event, or I have agents that digitally farm a neighborhood. And so they go in and they say, this particular neighborhood, as small as radius as possible, I want them to see this thing about, you know, an event I'm having or something that just happened in their particular neighborhood, or like a neighborhood snapshot where it just talks about the market of that particular neighborhood. So using it that way, just as long as you have the right intentions, you can kind of make it do whatever you need it to do.
Okay.
All right. One thing that I have in my little PowerPoint here is one of my favorite things is what happens whenever we do have a Facebook ad and somebody fills it out. Guess what? If you have the command app on your phone and or you have an Apple Watch, it's literally my wrist. You'll get a notification that says, hey, you have a new lead. If you did this ad correctly and you get any leads back, you're not only going to get a notification in command if you're on command on the desktop, but you're also going to get it on the app. And so if you have the app on your phone, you're going to get a pop-up notification if you have notifications turned on, and it will also pop up on your watch. So when it comes to online leads, speed to lead is very important. If you wait longer than 5 minutes, the likelihood of them answering the phone goes down drastically for every minute past 5 minutes. So make sure that if you're going to do an ad, that you have at least some time kind of built into your schedule to be able to answer calls or see the lead and be able to call them back pretty quickly. Make sense? All right.
One more question.
Yes, ma'am.
When going back to the Facebook settings square, my business Facebook is not showing up in my list. I think you said how to go find that again.
Yes, ma'am. If you go to, I would probably open another tab or
Okay.
save this draft. Make sure you save the draft before you refresh your page. We learned this today. But if you go into command under settings, find your Facebook ad manager in settings and click manage. You should see your profile picture, your name right there, and this little gray arrow to drop down. This should show you all the business pages that you are an admin on. If you click that button and it says you don't have any Facebook pages, then go ahead and disconnect and reconnect your Facebook. So it'll refresh that list for you.
I had to disconnect and reconnect, but I still never got the picture.
Never the picture.
Yeah.
But you have this?
Yeah, I mean, wait.
You have your list of your pages up?
Yes.
Okay. Huh. I don't know. All right, y'all want to talk about websites now?
Yeah.
Woo! I threatened you with pom-poms, now they're all talking. I see. I'll think I'm joking. I literally have pom-poms in my car. For such a time as this. All right, so websites. I'm not going to talk to you about your KW website. I know that's probably why you asked me to come here. However, not going to do it. You want to know why? We're changing that. We have heard that the agents of the world do not love the agent sites that we've created. So we're making them flashier, where you can add videos and you can add sounds and you can put in a blog and you can have an open house page if you can create kind of an easy open house page if you do these couple of things on your site. So I don't want to talk to you about how to customize your site if it's going to change and you're going to want to fix it in a month or so when the new site comes out. So what I will show you is how to create what's called a landing page, which is a one-page website. These are great for open house sign-ins. These are great for doing an ad. Having that one page where they can get all the information about the green blouse. Remember the scenario a second ago. If you're wanting to do that. So to create a one-page website in command, you go to command, you go to consumer, which is that very last option down there in the bottom left. Then you click create new page up here, top right-hand corner. And let me show you just a quick example of what an open house landing page might look like. And then I'm going to show you how to build one. So I created this particular page. This is not my favorite one, but it's the one I'm going to show you. I created this page for an open house sign-in. So it has my branding information up here at the top. Hard to do that when looking not at the screen. It has their sign-in information, so please give me your name, phone number, email address. When they click I'm not a robot, it will let them submit it. Now, this is not the page that I wanted to show you. And then here's all the information about the house. Now, they probably know this because they're at an open house, but if they wanted to look at that, they could. When I'm hosting an open house, I also print this out and put it in a picture frame. I create like a QR code for it, which if you don't know how to do that, I'm going to show you how to do that in 2 seconds. Create a QR code, put this around in the open house so they can scan it. So they have all this information when they leave the open house as well. I want them to have something tangible that they're not just going to throw away. So they have this, they can look at the pictures. It pulls in all the information from MLS, all the photos, it's scrolling through the photos from MLS, all the description, and then a little map of where it's located. So is this handy? Is this something you want to learn? Yes, yes. Okay, let's do it. So again, consumer, create new page. And then we're actually, instead of on my agent site, we're going to choose as a landing page. And the reason we're doing that is because we want the landing page just because of our widgets are a little bit different if we're going to put it on a regular page versus if we're going to create a standalone page. And so we're wanting to create a standalone page. And then this is what we do. We have over here on the left-hand side, this is our preview of our page. Right now, it's completely blank website. No fun, right? On the right-hand side, we have these things called widgets, which are just little templated pieces of information that we're just going to drag and drop, and we're going to build our page just like Legos. So for an open house or for anything, I normally always start with branded header. So I click, hold, drag, and drop. And so a branded header is exactly what it sounds like. It has my brand on it. This is my logo. That's my name. That's my face in case you couldn't tell. And then I can like customize it a little bit. I can add like a heading on it as well. Agent branding. This is basically just like a little snapshot of your information. Lead form is normally one that I'll put in on my open house. Now, before you ask, no, you cannot customize what it asks for. As like the number one question I get every time I teach this particular type of class. As of right now, these are the things that it's going to ask for. Now, you can change this interested, let's talk. Normally, I do change that and say, let's say we did an ad asking consumers to give us their information so that we could give them a free home evaluation. Well, in this interested, let's talk, I'm going to change that to please provide your home address in the notes section and the amount you have left on your mortgage. And we'll get back to you as soon as possible or something like that, right? Just instructing them to do what we need them to do so that we have all the information we need based on whatever we're creating this page for. And I'm going to show you how to change those in just a second. Legal footer, not something that we really have to deal with right now. Listing, I'm going to drag and drop that under my lead form, just because again, if this is for an open house, we want them to fill that out and then get the information. Market Snap, this is not one that I use for an open house, but this is one that you can use for a landing page. It basically just, you tell it which neighborhood you want it to pull from, and then it just gives some statistics. How many houses are for sale in that neighborhood? How many recently sold? What's their average price, et cetera, et cetera.
So that would be like if you're doing one for like the digital farming, use that.
Absolutely. Now, remember that we live in Texas, so this sold statistics is either going to be kind of weird or it's going to say NA, just because we don't know what day it actually sold on and what price it actually sold for. So there's some stuff in here that because we live in Texas, it will be a little different. Just be prepared for that. Local expert, this is basically just my bio and a big headshot. Video, if I want to drop in a video of me talking or of anything that I have posted on YouTube or something like that, I basically drag and drop. It's just a placeholder. I tell it what website that video is hosted on, and then it pulls that video and puts it on there. Testimony capture. This is exactly what it sounds like. I can have this on my landing page and it will ask them to give me a review. And then download my app just puts in a little section about how to download the KW app with your link in it. So back to what we originally were talking about. If we were doing an open house, I do branded header, I do lead capture form, and then I do the listing. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to go in and customize it. Did everybody get those drop-ins? Okay. So what we're going to do is over here on the bottom right-hand corner, it's going to say configure widgets. And hopefully yours didn't do what mine did, but it should start with branded header. If not, look up here in the top right-hand corner and we should see one of three because we have 3 different widgets that we need to customize. Widget 1 is our branded header. For an open house, I normally just say, welcome to insert address here. It should pre-populate my headshot, my name, my phone number, my email address, based on what's already in command. So I'm going to click save and apply, and then you're going to see my header update. Okay. Then I'm going to press this green arrow and I'm going to customize my next widget. And that's my lead form. Again, the only thing I can change is that top little section there. Let's see, what have I typed here before? So I just said, thank you for visiting 123 Main Street today. Please provide your information below. This is where you can say, you know, for some open houses, they say for the safety of our sellers, we need to know everybody who's coming to the house. Fill out whatever script or dialogue that you want to use for this and then just put it up there. There is a limit on characters, but it will tell you. I mean, it lets me write a lot. So I think you can get a few sentences in up there. Again, if you want more information, you can say, please provide X, Y, and Z in the note section of this form as well. So save and apply and then configure that last section there, and that's your listing. So this one looks hard because there's a lot of information in here, but it's actually pretty simple. I'm going to click browse listing. This should look familiar. It's very similar to what we did when we created our campaign. I type in my listing address. One of these days I'll do something that's not 123 Main Street. Today's not that day. 123 Main Street, find my listing. I think any of these are the ones that I chose earlier. Helps if you happen to have the MLS number because you can search by property address, MLS number, or your KWL LSID if you didn't put it in MLS. But I'm just going to choose this one. It's a different one than one we chose earlier. So I choose my listing. It pulls all my images from MLS. Here's all of them. It's asking me which one I want this main photo to be. I'm just going to choose the first one that they chose on MLS. I click save and apply. Ooh, that's probably why it wasn't the main. And then here we go. Here's our picture that we chose. Here's our address. Here's this little cute little templated piece here about bedrooms and bathrooms and square footage. Here's all the scrolling images from MLS, all the details, and then a little map. All that makes sense? Not too hard, right? Should be easier than you thought. Most of the time, that's the most feedback I've gotten is it's a lot easier than you thought. You just drag, you drop, you type in a little thing, and then it pulls everything else in. Now, before we finish out what we'll do. In the top left-hand corner, this is the name of our landing page. So I'm going to change this to 123 Main Street. Open house. Just like how you see https:/console.command.kw.com, that is what would pop up in a tab if somebody were to pull up this particular site, is whatever we put in this little header. As you can see, those other two tabs that I have open, those are the ones from my other landing pages, and you can see that they're listed the same thing that I had listed here. Does that make sense? Just to keep it like a pretty good professional level there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click either publish page or save landing page. If you don't want it to be published yet, that's fine. Now, I say published and it says published. That does not mean that somebody can just go to Google and type in 123 Main Street open house and then just happenstancely find it. Our SEOs are not that strong, or our search engine optimization is not strong with our landing pages. You basically have to have that specific URL to be able to pull up this site. So don't freak out if you have published pages from previous stuff either. So I'm going to go ahead and click publish page. It says, hey, this is about to be active on the World Wide Web. And you say, yes, that's okay. It takes me back into command under consumer. Now I'm going to click on landing pages just so I have it open. Yes and no, Dillard. So we'll have, it will tell me if somebody fills out the lead capture form. It won't tell me how many people actually viewed the page. So you'll see in command. So I'm sorry for those in the room, y'all can't see my chat box. Dillard asked if there's any analytics to show the page's activity. And it doesn't show me how many people have viewed it, but it will show me if somebody filled out that lead capture form, it's going to tell me how many leads I've gotten from this particular landing page.
What will the campaign?
The campaign will. It will show me how many impressions it got, how many leads it got, and who those leads were. So now we have our website. So I can either click on this and it will open up that landing page. I do have the option to customize the URL, and I use these quotes for a reason. When I go to customize the URL or change it, the only option I have to change is that last little section there. It's always going to start with pages.kw.com/your name / your Keller Williams University ID, which is 6-digit number, and then / and then you can customize whatever's at the end. For me, I normally just do, if it's for a particular house, I just do the address. Click create. That site is now created. So I can either go into my iPad, pull it up, have people, have it on a stand, or hand it to people when they walk into my open house. I can copy this, email it to myself. I can put this on a ad, just like we talked about earlier. If I wanted to create a QR code for it, it's super simple. If you have Google Chrome on your computer, all I do is I open up the site, and truly you can just click on the site itself. It opens that up in your browser. And all you have to do is over here, you're going to see this little share icon right here. And if I click that, it's going to say create a QR code. If I click create QR code, there it is. There's my little dinosaur Dan is what I call him. It just happens to be that is part of their QR code generation. And all I have to do is download this picture, print it out, save it, whatever, however I want to use it. If you don't like the dinosaur, if you're not a dinosaur fan, you can actually get rid of him. You can put a little KW in the middle. Just don't take out any of the dots. The dinosaur part is not actually part of the QR. But if you like the dinosaur, just keep it. All right. So far we've talked about everything that we were supposed to talk about, but just to recap, we talked about Our 201 Plus Club, why we want to get 200 people in our database. We talked about the difference between, or how we add more money to our lives, how we add more time to our lives, how we generate some leads through campaigns. And then we also talked about how to create landing pages in Command. What ahas do we have? Give me 3 ahas, either online or in person, and then we can listen to our lunch sponsor. And get a free lunch if you're here. I'll hold you to it. 3 ahas. Tell me something that you learned today. What's something you're going to implement? Cricket. What's up?
Yes, I was trying to create a new page, but it's let me, so no.
Okay, we can look at that.
I like how, or I mean, I guess one thing I learned is you can basically use it with any website you have.
Yeah, absolutely. QR codes, Laura says, yay. Somebody else said online registration. Yes, using that, using those landing pages for open houses kind of saves you a little bit of paper, saves you a little bit of time. Because what happens when you have them write it down on a piece of paper? Then you have to go in and manually type it in, then you can't read their handwriting. All of that fun stuff, it goes directly into your command. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I love it.
It takes the place of like curfew.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you hate it, if you want to tell me how horrible my jokes were, feel free to scan this QR code. Guess where I created it? Okay, Google Chrome. Feel free to scan this and let me know how I can better teach this class in the future to awesome agents like yourself. And then last but certainly not least, hang on. If you need to contact me or want to contact me, if you have any type of questions at all, please feel free to reach out. This is my cell phone number, my email address. Please feel free to reach out. Like I said, I will give a little asterisk to that. Just know that I have 8,000 agents that have my personal cell phone number. So sometimes it takes me about 24 hours to respond. If it takes more than 24 hours, feel free to call and yell at me. I have yet to have that happen. But it just 24-hour grace period is all I ask for. All right, guys, thank you. I am going to turn it over to element inspection.
Thank you.
And I'm going to stop sharing this.
Thank you, Kasey.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Louis. Element Inspection is my business. We are voted #1 by the business owner's mother. Of course, that is my mom.